So I also come from a perspective of maybe, allowing the other side to think they're helping me. Naturally, people do want to help other people. And naturally, people want to help other people that praise them.
I think that goes in the exact face of a lot of things that people think. They think that you have to be the tough guy. They think you have to be the victim.
It doesn't work.
You have to bury them. You have to like win and they lose. Like, it's not a win-lose.
It's an art.
It's a win-win.
It's not a battle, it's an art.
Yeah. All right, Dan. So today we're going to be talking about my favorite part of being a real estate agent, which is negotiating a deal. And probably as an investor yourself, I've seen you on the phone. I know it seems like something that you enjoy as well.
I do.
So just to recap how we've gotten here.
It's actually the best part of real estate, I find. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not done the introduction.
Okay, fuck, go.
Okay, so just to recap how we got here, right? You've chosen your market, you've selected your strategy, you've lined up financing options, you've kind of narrowed it down to either one or two properties, and now you're going to go after it, right? You're going to actually start the process of trying to get it under contract. That's how we got here. So let's talk about how to negotiate first, like in a hot market, right? Like in Windsor, Ontario right now. Like a lot of times, like, to be honest, like you just can't negotiate, right? When there's 26 offers on a property, it's highest and best wins. What are your thoughts on operating and negotiating in a hot market?
Can I talk now? You're fucking done?
Yeah.
Your introduction?
We're done the intro.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So topics. In terms of dealing with a hot market, what I do now, well, so this is, I have a feel, like, we're going to go through some things that are not necessarily going to apply to the market currently, which is obviously unprecedented. So,
or our particular market, but they can be used
our particular
in
market here and other like white hot markets. So we're gonna go through some strategies, but it's gonna really depend on the market. Exactly. So we're gonna structure this a little bit more now. Scott wrote a bunch of notes. I wrote some notes. So we have note here where the title is depends on the market, and hot markets. Lots of competition, no negotiating, highest and best bid wins. Yeah. So that's a testament of a white hot market. Like you're not putting any conditions. Like this is unprecedented.
I will classify that as negotiating. Like if you want that property and if the numbers work, like sometimes the highest and best is still a good, like you just negotiated that property. You got it under contract. Like you got it. Right?
It depends how bad you want it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And whether or not the numbers work. So sometimes negotiating is literally paying highest and best. And the way I like to look at it is I'm buying something today, the numbers have to work today as well, but I'm also projecting out the future value, whether or not it's average appreciation or above average appreciation or rents rising or whatever the case is. And Wayne Gretzky's old saying, you skate to where the puck's going, not to where the puck is, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's what made him so good. Mm-hmm. And I think that applies to the real estate market as well. I'm skating to where the market's going. In Southwestern Ontario specifically, we can see the trajectory it's on. There's a housing crisis. So I might be willing to pay market value here or a little bit over market value for something as long as the numbers work and I like the location because I see where the market's going, right? So I think a lot of people are hesitant. You see on YouTube a lot of times, never pay fair market value for anything. And it's like, well, you like a lot of people have made a lot of money paying fair market value for stuff. It's just kind of if you can get something under market value, of course, amazing. But don't think that you can't pay market value for something. It's just stupid, in my opinion.
I don't even like the term market value.
I like it.
The reason why I don't like the term market value is because market value is literally what you're willing to pay. And the market value is a moving target, like every second of every day. Yeah. So
literally,
I don't like the term market value because as soon as you say overpay, you're setting the market value. So you can't use that as a term. Like, what is the market value? It's like I said, it's a moving target, and it's an inaccurate one at best, to be quite honest. So I don't actually like the term because what market value for you might be completely different for me. Like like what we're doing in the US and everything is like the market value for us looking at property when you're comparing it to property here may be completely different to someone in fucking Phoenix, Arizona. Like they may not actually be willing to pay what we're paying because they want a better deal, but we're looking at property comparatively speaking.
In Ontario, for large multifamily, we're looking at 2 and 3 caps. Yeah. And you bring that over to the States, you're looking at 5, 6, 7 caps.
Yeah,
so
it's totally different.
The market value, like this is crazy because we're analyzing it differently.
So I'll gladly pay, over, I'll gladly pay a 1 cap over or 1% over on a cap rate than, others to the local market because I'm not comparing to other property necessarily in the local market. I'm comparing what's available here.
Pretty simple. So market value is a moving target, and it has an element of subjectivity to it. There's a certain if you're analyzing the cap rates of Dallas, Texas, there is an objective hey, market value here is approximately a 4 cap, right? For a large multi. There's a certain level of objective to it, but there's also a subjective element, just like everything else in the market. So don't get tied up. Don't think you can't pay market value or whatever they classify as market value.
No.
Okay. So let's move on to part 2 of this, which is, one of the big investment themes now is buying things that are value add. I get this question all the time. BRRRR's the big topic. I want to do a BRRRR this, BRRRR that, whatever. It's really not that complicated, right? When you're looking at a value add opportunity, you're going to negotiate it. What's number one? What are the 2 top things that you have to know, right? The repair value, how much money do you have to put in for repairs? What's its after repair value? That's it. It's just numbers, right? So how do you process something where it's a value add?
Well, so for me, when I process a value add, I look at repair value and I look at purchase price. And what a lot of people need to realize is you're making the money on the purchase, not on the sale. And that's especially true. That might not be especially true now, but that's especially true in average market or normal market or whatever. It's less and less true now because you could almost pay, your market value or above what the property is even worth right now and, renovate it for 2 or 3 months. And the next thing you know, you're making some money because the market's just simply appreciated. So it doesn't necessarily apply now, but the way that I used to do these, these flips, or not flips, but, value adds and things like that was, I'd go in, I'd know what the property was worth or what I could get the property for. I'd figure out from experience, or I would bring someone in with experience that would be able to give me a rough number on what these repairs would cost. And one of the things that I do like, what I did in the beginning, I worked with an appraiser, an inspector right off the bat to come into the property for cash. I'd pay him $100 cash. Smart. I wouldn't need a full report. Okay, I'd come in $100 cash, and he also did small renovations and had a little construction company on the side, which was great. So I specifically sought one out that had construction knowledge and was also an inspector. And he would come in, give me a rough estimate of what things would cost, and tell me exactly what's going on in the property, and I'd walk through it with him, and then I would be able to, have a very educated, go in with an educated, mindset of what is going to happen with this particular property, what's going to cost, what the value add is going to cost, what the property should go for, all that stuff. So
that's a great strategy because then you can write an unconditional offer as well. You don't need an inspection.
So exactly. So what that allowed me to do was exactly that, and it also allowed me to move much faster than the normal person because speed is very important, especially in markets like this. But it was also it was even more important. Well, it was also important back then because it allowed me to get a bunch of deals when the market wasn't so hot. Now people just don't even give a shit. They're just no conditions, because you have to, right? When there's fucking 30 offers on a property. But back then when there wasn't 30 offers on a property, that was a huge thing. Speed, was a big thing for me. So that's what that was one of the tactics that I did to kind of come up in the real estate game.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Yeah. So, that's another thing too. A lot of people are in this particular hot market. If you're buying something for X and it's going to be a 6 months project, you have to factor in some appreciation here because that's what's happening right now. And because the market's so tight, if you don't factor in that appreciation, it's going to be hard to do a value add because people are paying top dollar for anything. I'm seeing Granny's house that you used to get a discount for Granny's house, right? No updates. It's super clean, but you got to come in and do a new kitchen, this and that, whatever. You're not getting a discount anymore. People are paying top dollar for that. But if you take that and say, hey, well, the market's going to probably rise 10 to 12% in the next 6 months, there's your margin for doing the repair and pulling your money out. So factoring a little bit of appreciation, it does increase your risk a little bit, but in a white hot market, sometimes that's the only option.
It's a safer bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a safer bet to be able to use appreciation to your advantage.
Yeah. And then in this market as well, like people have to understand that you're competing against people like for the beginner investor, for people that are just kind of getting into the game, they don't have a ton of money, they don't have a ton of experience. You have to understand you're competing against guys like Dan Crosby who have a construction crew. They got plenty of financing options lined up. They can buy the property cash. They don't need conditions. They don't need this. They have their inspector come through. So a lot of these beginner investors, like I had a scenario a few weeks ago where it was a decent sized multifamily project for some beginner investors. Value add comes down to offer date. There's 11 offers on the property, and we go, okay, what are we going to put? What offer are we going to put in here? Right? We do the comparable market analysis. We estimate the value, whatever, and all of a sudden, okay, we need this condition. We need that condition. We need this condition. We need financing for like 14-day financing condition. We need this. I'm like, guys, like we're in the big leagues now. Like we're competing against guys that even though this is, it's going to sell around $1 million, that guy doesn't need financing. Mm-hmm. That guy's probably got a portfolio of 100 properties. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are, we're in a different league now. Mm-hmm. So they didn't, they're beginners, so I understand that. But you're going up against people that have a lot of capital, a lot of whatever, especially in the market where there's like no supply. So know who you're up against too. Is a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well. So let's talk about some strategies that we've used in negotiating. Again, some of them may or may not apply to your market, but some of them will still. Like there's certain things that we do now.
Yeah. So I think an important thing to realize is so some of these might not apply to this market here, but markets are cyclical. Mm-hmm. So these will eventually apply to some. Yeah.
And some of the things we're going to talk about will apply to any market. And one of those things that I love to talk about is like just being like a good person and making the other understanding what the other person wants and not trying to making the other party feel like they're winning, right? And giving them what they want, understanding what they want, and coming in to negotiate with good faith is like a huge part of the battle, like being a likable person. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like as an agent myself, I maintain good relationships with every agent because when I'm at the negotiating table, I don't want animosity, right? And they might hey, I like that guy. He's fair. He's honest, whatever. We might give him a shot here where, we don't like this other guy. We don't trust this other agent, whatever. So that's a big part of it, being a good person. But what are some other things that you've used in the past or you?
So one of the things that I like to do is, if I'm working, it doesn't really matter if I'm working directly with the sellers or directly with I like to work, you're not going to like this, but I like to work a lot of times directly with the selling agent, especially on the bigger units. So a lot of times on the bigger properties, they actually require, especially specifically in the US, it's more often that you see the selling agents of the property. You have to work directly with them. And if you don't, and you bring a buying agent, that comes out of the buyer's pocket, the commission for that property. It's not like a shared scenario over here in Canada, or, maybe it is if you want to bring in, everything's negotiable. So say, for example, if you have like a large multifamily and you're selling it, they may not, peel off some commission for you. You might have to take it out of pocket or whatever as like a buyer's commission. I don't know. But more often than not, I'll literally flat out ask them in a cordial manner, what's the goal here? What does the sellers want? Do they have a target sale price? What's the reason for selling? So I can get a really good idea of a really good picture of what's going on with the property. And I'll also kind of really drive home the point that, I am capable of closing. I'm very confident of closing. And I really drive home that we both want this deal to go through. Both parties want to make money, including the selling agent, including the sellers, including, both sides rather. as well as I do. I want to get it for a specific price, but I want to be fair. They want to sell it for a specific price, but probably want to be fair as well. And the agent for sure wants the deal to go through. If anything, that agent would rather sell for less to get the deal done rather than sell for more and have it wait.
Yeah,
and
sometimes.
Have it stick on the market.
Agents,
for sure.
I personally, I don't give a shit about myself. It's like, no, we want top, we would want top dollar here. But there are some agents out there.
100%, like 100,000% on the larger scale. I have more often than not been able to, I guess, build rapport with the selling agents simply based on the fact that they want to make money. And I have literally had multiple agents come back at me and saying like, listen, I'm also working for you because I want this fucking deal done. Yeah. Like literally, they don't, at the end of the day, what people don't understand is, and like, I know you offer like insane great service and all this type of shit. So, but at the end of the day, these guys, they want to make money. And you driving home the narrative that you're capable of closing and you can build confidence in them that you will close will potentially be a game changer.
Yeah. And let me give you the other side of that, right? Yeah. As an agent on the other side, just from my perspective, like this is a bit of an advanced technique here. Like you're an experienced negotiator. Yeah. You know what to say. You have experience doing this. On the other side, when some people call me up and they don't have an agent and it's just some random person, some kid from Toronto or something like that, and they're asking me about the property, I basically have a 99%, like I'm writing this person off. Like I don't trust them. I don't think they can close. I don't think they have financing. I think they think they're going to get this property for $199. They don't understand the market. I'm basically wasting my time with them. So if you are listening to this and you're trying to go direct to the agent, basically you got to do what Dan's doing. You got to talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. You got to be able to show that agent that you're capable of closing, because a lot of times, like, I don't want to waste my time. We're all too busy, this and that, whatever. So you got to show, hey, I know what's up here.
Yeah. And one of the ways that I do that is, I've got a website, coachwoodcapital.com. I spell it out for people, exactly what I've done, exactly who I am. It's not exactly, hard to find, the other companies that I'm involved with. So even if you have, do something like, people will search you out. Like I've had multiple agents, like literally before they've contacted me back, mention like, oh yeah, I looked you up. So when someone looks me up, they're gonna know I'm serious. Yeah. Like this is not like a fucking game to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know, sometimes I act silly or whatever. I act like fucking whatever, but like I'm fucking serious. Like this is legit. Like I'm legit. So when someone looks me up, on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, Facebook or whatever, they're gonna find a legit scenario. And when someone looks you up and they see, dumb shit on your profile on Instagram, or you're doing stupid shit and you don't have clout to back what you're saying up, or you're doing dumb shit and like if you're doing dumb shit or you want to have fun on your profiles or whatever, you better be able to fucking back it up with some clout. Mm-hmm. And if you can't, clean your shit up so that you present yourself a little bit better, because agents in the background are looking you up.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially on the bigger stuff where like, $50 million property or $10 million property, like I'm not wasting 1 second with Joe Schmo that calls me up without doing a little bit of research.
Of course.
You call me up on a duplex, I might give you the time of day, I might send you an income statement, but I'm still not wasting much time because I don't know you. And usually the people that are calling me are just like, they don't know, they don't say the right things. Yeah. So I just basically write them off. Like have your agent call me or get an agent because market's too hot for me to deal with people that I don't know. So a lot of good strategies there.
Another thing I do too is I explain the scenario, why I'm out of town or why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm going after that particular property, so that they know I know what I'm talking about. Right? Because even if I'm going out, even those guys calling you from out of town looking for property in Windsor,
They're looking for a deal.
Exactly.
That's
so like,
yeah.
why are they, why? Like you need to know why. They need to explain to you why they're looking in Windsor and why, not just like because I saw it on the fucking news once or twice.
Yeah.
Like give an explanation. I give these agents an explanation, or these sellers an explanation of why I'm going to these areas or why I'm looking at their particular property. And I explain to them, yeah, like let's work out a deal. Like I'm confident that we can do this.
Yeah. And if I, as an agent on the other side, if I don't have the feeling that you're dead serious and you're like here and you're about ready to pull the trigger, I'm basically writing you off. I'm not going to give you much time. So you have that vibe of like, hey, and you are, like I joked the other day, like your middle name is pull the trigger. Like you, like that's all you do, man. Like you legit pull the trigger. So when you're on these calls, people can probably feel and tell that, hey, this guy's serious. So if you're trying to build relationships and show that you are serious, and those agents will, they'll start sending you deals now. I've noticed,
happens
right?
all the time. Yeah.
Because you're serious, and I only generally have time for the people that are serious because the market moves too quickly, and if you're not serious,
you better get your shit together.
Yeah, even in the U.S., it's getting to be that way.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about a couple other options, right? We talk about conditions. Windsor and Southwestern Ontario specifically, super hard to get conditions in offers. If you can get them in, they can be a great negotiating tool. They can give you leverage, right? You're able to tie up a property and get it under contract, go do an inspection and try to hammer it down. Yeah. I'm sure you've used that strategy before. Yeah. So, I don't know if you've used it recently, but
no. So obviously using those strategies don't work these days. But
here.
Here. So we should say that here or currently. Yeah. Right. True. Again, markets are cyclical. So we're going to go over these conditions. They're very viable. I have literally done this like hundreds of times, and I know they work. So, take this for what it is now. It might not apply now, but it might apply in a year or however long. Whatever. So, one of my favorite strategies is giving them what they want from the get-go and going in after once we have a better idea of what the property needs or inspection or whatever, and leveraging the inspection report, and then going in for a reduction. Now, that's not exactly a tactic I would recommend these days because you're going to lose. I don't even know that you would be able to get an accepted offer with that condition these days. Like it's not, unless you're offering an insane amount more than the next competing bid. But it's not happening these days. So that's more of a condition, or that's more of a strategy that I've used before the market got like white hot, and it works like outrageously well. I've also used it on very large scale property, and you see that strategy being used very routinely on larger scale properties because
less competition. Probably,
less competition, and to be quite honest, that's a very reasonable thing to do because you typically work the numbers. You typically work those deals based off numbers and a very generalized idea of what something will cost in terms of a rehab or a refreshing of a larger scale property. But when you get into like the larger scale properties, like you're getting reports that are like hundreds of pages long for worth thousands of dollars. So that's when you really leverage, like, okay, well, I didn't know it needed a boiler system, or I didn't know the roof was in dire repair. Like you don't base that on. Exactly.
It's just numbers, right? Hey, I need this much repair. I need this much off the cost.
So you see that still being used on larger scale multifamily. Depending on the area, but again, depending on the area too, or the market, that's becoming a less of a common thing to see as well.
Yeah. And then on the agent side, I think people don't understand this, is that one condition, especially for smaller stuff like a duplex or fourplex or single family, one condition is equal to 100. If you have a finance condition for 5 business days, you might as well have 100 conditions, because that condition allows you to back out of that deal without consequence for any reason. So it's as an agent selling it, now all of a sudden I've conditionally sold the property for 5 days. I take it off the market. I'm not showing it anymore. I'm not taking any more calls about it. All of a sudden you back out of the deal. Now I got to go back to market. The property's soured in people's minds. I get less action. I got to go through the whole process again. In a hot market, that's why conditions are so, like, you better be 20, 30, 40 grand higher than the next offer. Or that, that conditional offer, if there's 9 other offers, is getting tossed out. Yeah. Like, you got to be significantly higher. So that's just an agent's perspective. A lot of people think, well, why can't I get a condition? Well, that's why. Another thing I love to do as an agent, and probably you as a buyer, but you take advantage of crappy agents, like agents that don't know the market. There a lot of times it's like these older agents. They've been in the game for 50 years. They're basically semi-retired. They do a few transactions a year. They don't know what the hell is going on in the market. Or an agent that's not really an investor agent is listing an investment property. They don't know the value of these duplexes. They don't know how many investors are out there. So I'm on the phone calling initially just to get a feel for what these agents are saying, right? Like, hey, what are your expectations here? And a lot of times, like, those expectations are lower than they should be. And then I'll always say as well, like, would you be open to like a preemptive offer if there's an offer date? Are you open to a bully offer? And if they say yes, low expectations, crappy agent, let's go. Here's the opportunity. Now, a lot of agents aren't crappy, and like, hey, this agent knows what they're doing. I'm not going to bother, right? They're not. I'm not going to pull a fast one on this guy, right? But there are some times where that becomes a viable option.
I would still ask.
Yeah,
I would still ask. I don't give a shit. Like at the end of the, like I have no problem offending people. Because I don't do it in an offensive way, but sometimes it will offend people, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If you're going to be offended, then okay, go fuck yourself. I don't feel bad about it. But at the end of, I still don't think it hurts asking if they want to take an offer or whatever, or even lowballs. I don't recommend lowballs in a scenario like this, but there was a point in time when the market wasn't so hot, and I was writing 3, 4, 5 offers a day. So
there's a place and a time for it.
There is, yeah.
And as an agent, you start writing lowball offers, and people are gonna in this market, and you're gonna start looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
People are gonna not take you seriously anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to, ready to take advantage of the opportunities when they do come up.
That shit doesn't work these days. Yeah. But there are specific markets that, specifically what I used to do back in the day. Obviously, the market was nowhere where it is now, but that was something that I would commonly do.
Yeah. So, and then to talk about it again, right? Like you're negotiating isn't being like the big dog at the table and like Mr. Tough Guy and like, oh, I'm here to take advantage. No, like true negotiation is, hey, I saw this the other day, but it was like you start the negotiation off with, hey, we're here to make a deal. Like we want you to win, we want us to win, right? You keep that both sides winning mentality, because if you don't, you're going to turn that other side off to you. And even if you have a good offer, I don't want to deal with you because you're a jerk or whatever the case is, right? So you start every transaction or every negotiation with that mentality. And regardless of what happens in the middle of that, whether things get heated or it goes back and forth, you end on that mentality, right? You end with, hey, we're here. Like, hey, guys, despite what we just talked about, like, we still want to make a deal here. Like, we want to find a win-win. We're close. Like, you always keep it positive.
Of course, for sure.
And you always keep those relationships.
Like, listen, the other side is selling.
Yeah. It's on the
You're
market
a buyer.
Yeah.
There's a deal there.
Yeah.
If you truly do want it. And I think one of the reasons probably why I've been good at negotiating is I never come from the perspective, I know like maybe my persona has it, but I never come from a perspective in negotiations as that like bully guy. I always come from the perspective of more of someone that is, how can I explain it?
You're respectful.
I'm very respectful. I portray the need to have the other party's goals accomplished over mine. I want the side 51% and 49% for me, right?
Or at least in their minds.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
At least they think
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I also come from a perspective of maybe, allowing the other side to think they're helping me. I want them to think they're helping me, because people, when you naturally, people do want to help other people, and naturally people want to help other people that praise them. So I'm always coming from the perspective of like, hey, wow, like, this is a great property, you've done very well with it, or I try to figure out even what the sellers do, or what the selling agent likes to do. So I kind of try to build as much rapport as I can so that they do like me. And I try to relate to them as much as possible, like literally as much as possible. And that will win over people.
It's huge.
And it will be, it will you will win it, and it'll help you. It'll help you every step of the way in negotiations. It will help you as long if you can relate to people, if you can win people into your way of thinking, if you can, be truly interested in the other party, like truly interested, praise them, like, do whatever, figure out what their wants are, figure out what their hobbies are, figure out, one of the things that I always do is like, I start like a conversation, a dialect with like either the sellers or the selling agent. I figure out what they actually like to do. I try to figure out like, hey, maybe this guy's like a big fan of hockey. Okay, well, I play hockey. Let's talk about hockey a little bit. Like I do that for a reason. It's not because I like talking about hockey. It's because I want this deal to go through and I want to build as much rapport as I can, right? And I want them to like me as much as possible so that the side ends up flipping a little bit sometimes in these scenarios. Like literally, I have built so much rapport with selling agents before that they want to sell me the property more than they want to sell it for them, or they want me to buy it more than they want their sellers more than they want to sell it for their sellers. They want me to buy it. So that's how much rapport I try to build with these sellers and these selling agents.
I think that goes in the exact face of a lot of things that people think. They think that you have to be the tough guy. They think you have to be the victim.
It doesn't work.
You have to bury them. You have to like win and they lose. Like it's not a win-lose.
It's an art.
It's a win-win.
It's not a battle. It's an art.
Yeah, and any art can be developed. Right, you can get good at this. And that's why agents like that. We just do this every day, so you just get good at it. I know what to say. I know what not to say. I know how to build a relationship with that other agent. And on the other side of that table, there's certain agents that call me up that I'm the same way. Like I want that guy to win because I like him. I trust him. We're buddies. We're friends. I'm not going to do anything against my seller, of course, right? But just subconsciously, like, oh, I hope that guy wins, right? I hope
for sure.
I like that guy. And there's certain people that I don't, you don't like,
for sure. So one of the things, like here, I'll give you like a little bit of like a real life scenario, which is extremely easy to do, especially if you're calling out of town or even in town or whatever. You call up Scott, and I call up Scott and I give him a little spiel about who I am, why I'm calling him, and all this other shit. And I say, so Scott, tell me about the property, tell me about the location, tell me about the area. I want to hear it. Please educate me. So right away, what's happening is Scott is the authority. Yes. I am the student, and Scott is helping me. Yeah, Scott is helping me understand. And right away, it's building rapport because Scott is teaching me something as a student, and he all of a sudden feels like this feeling of
like where I should be. I'm the authority.
Yeah, he's the authority.
Like I'm the expert.
And what I've allowed is for him to feel that way, and people love to feel that way.
Love this.
They love that.
I get this all the time. If you call me up with the opposite mentality of you're the authority, I'm done with you.
Exactly.
You don't like.
Exactly.
No, we're done here, bro.
So Scott, tell me about go ahead. Tell me about the property. Tell me about the area. Tell me about Windsor. Go just real quick. Go.
Yeah, well, the property is great. It's fourplex. It's this, that, whatever. It creates this amount of money. I love the location. It's 2 blocks from the riverfront. It's this, that, whatever. And then I'd probably go into like, okay, a little bit more about you, right?
Yeah.
What's your situation?
Yeah. Then what
rapport has started.
Yeah. And then what I would do after you're telling me about the scenario, I'd be like, holy wow, Scott, like you know a lot about the area. Like you sound like a really great agent. I'd love to work with you on this deal, and tell me like a little bit about how you became such like a knowledgeable agent. Then what's going to happen is you're going to go into talking about yourself, which people fucking love. Okay, people fucking love talking. So then you're going to start talking about yourself, and then you're actually going to love talking to me. Okay, because I'm letting you talk about yourself.
Yeah,
that is literally what I do.
Let me tell you how few people do that when they call me. We get a lot of random calls, right? If you have a listing, people are going to call you on it. Do you know how many people do that? Like 1%. It's 99%.
Yeah.
I know everything. I'm an experienced agent. I already know the market. I don't need an agent. I'm the best. This, that, whatever. You've turned me off immediately. I don't care if you're serious or not. Don't want to deal with you. I just had it the other day.
Yeah.
We have a purpose-built 6plex on the market right now. We're getting a lot of calls from people that don't have agents or they don't want agents, whatever. And that's the tone I keep getting. Not, hey man, like I'd really love your opinion on this. Hey, can you walk me through it? What do you think? How do you like the numbers?
So crucial. Yeah.
And then, because if you don't respect me in my position, I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
straight up. So
I've instantly built rapport, with you. I've instantly built rapport with you. You instantly want to sell me this property, and you want to talk to me.
Here's the thing, too,
every fucking time my caller ID pops up on your phone, you want to talk to me because you're going to be able to talk about yourself.
Me,
and I respect your views.
I want to emphasize this. To me, this is not a technique. Like, this is literally like just being a good freaking person and treating other people with respect. Like, it's not like, I'm going to say this, and this. No, like when I call somebody that it's not my market or not my building, I'm going to give them the level of respect that they initially should deserve, right? Like, you're the expert here. You tell me, right? Like, I'm not the expert on this building. You are. So it's just common sense to defer to that person, right? So it's not, I don't want people to like come up with a chart of like what I should say. How about just be a good person, like, and treat people fairly and with respect? Because if it's a technique, I might pick up on it too.
For sure. Right? You have to get good. Like, to some extent, I agree with you, and I disagree with that, because there are techniques with negotiating, right? And there's a reason why I do those things, is because not because it necessarily comes natural to me, but because I've understood and learned over time what works well and what doesn't. So, maybe it's been developed. It's been developed, right?
But you're not consciously saying, okay, now I should ask him about hockey.
No, get used to being a good negotiator. Get used to being good talking to people. Like, you don't have to what I would recommend is don't try this on actual agents that you want to go after properties with. Fucking talk to people just in your normal circle, your friends. Hey, did you ever think about just asking your friends hey, how was your day? Or hey, I don't even know what you actually do for work. Tell me, I'd love to hear about it. Do it on your friends, your family, or whatever, and learn it that way. That's what I did.
Or here's another idea. Do it with your agent and let your agent do the job. Because there's clients of mine, they don't try to negotiate every deal. Not everybody has time for that. You shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be your own agent in every situation. You shouldn't be your own inspector. You shouldn't be your own renovation guy. You should delegate as much as possible. For people not like you, what you should do.
I feel it still applies for me too. I can't do everything.
True. You have, and you do work with agents.
Yeah. I do for sure. Yeah. But the agents that I work with are of the mentality we're having here, or
we're buddies, we're friends.
John, whatever. They have they do the same shit that I'm talking about. You guys understand it.
So for the other people out there that aren't their own agents or aren't calling people, sellers themselves, you build that relationship with your agent, because there's certain clients of mine or would-be clients of mine that think they know everything, and we don't work together very well because you just think you know too much. You're not relying on me, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But the agents or the people that just say, "Hey, Scott, I trust you, and I like them, and they like me, and we talk about things that aren't agent related. It's not about real estate. We become friends." Those are the people I go to war for.
You can't be calling up Scott pretending you know the market more than Scott.
Yeah.
Don't fucking do that. And if you do that, why are you even calling him?
Yeah, just go do it yourself.
Just shut the fuck up and do it yourself, then, you idiot. So there's nothing worse than arrogance.
Yeah,
people oh man, and I come across that all the time.
You might know more than me. Maybe you do, but you shouldn't come off that way, because it's just off-putting.
No.
It'd be like me going to a doctor and me saying, I know what I have, I know what this is.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
for sure.
Be well, get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
right?
fuck.
Whatever the case.
100%.
Trigger.